Hey everybody, I want to take a moment here and create a quick little video on an issue that I see come up several times um, as I continue to support NPS with the MFA extension. It concerns the customers, and rightly so. It is a little bit unnerving when you first see it. So the problem is that if you're not aware, after you install the MFA extension on an NPS server, it's going to create some new logs. Down under application and service logs, under Microsoft and under AzureMFA, we have a couple of new folders. The vast majority of the logs that you're going to care about live down here in this log, auth.cch, and so that's the log that the MFA DLLs write to record the conversations with Azure. So the result of whatever that MFA attempt was is recorded here. And in some of those cases, it appears as though there's characters that look like Chinese characters to us. And so I wanted to explain how that all sort of happens. First, let me walk through a normal process. So here we have some guy at Nate Harris, and we're just gonna walk through this. This tool here, NT-Radping, is behaving as the Radius client. So whatever that Radius client is, Cisco AnyConnect, or whatever the device is that's sending Radius authentication to your NPS server, is represented here by NT-Radping. This is, I'm running a Android SDK here. So this is essentially an Android VM here that's running the Authenticator app. And so that's my MFA device. So let me go ahead. I'm logging in. Some guy goes to log in. NPS receives the Radius request, processes primary authentication successfully, hands it off to MFA dealer. MFA reaches out to Azure, and we are good. We get an access accept here. So let's go see what got logged. So here we can see this correlation ID. This is our tracker on the back end for logging. And we can see some guy successfully logged in. So that's good. That's what we expect. So what happens if some guy fat fingers his password? Let me try that. Send the request. The request fails, as we would expect. But what did we log? So here we can see this is the MFA DLL writing the output, remember. And so if you read it from the perspective of that, what this is saying, it says NPS extension for AzureMFA only performs secondary auth for Radius requests in access accept state. What that means is it only performs Radius or secondary auth requests for requests that it has received in an access accept state. It receives those from if you will, the NPS service. The NPS service does its thing, and then it hands it off to those DLLs, and those DLLs then make a decision whether or not it's going to perform MFA or not. In this case, because the user fat fingered their password, they failed primary authentication. So it's not going to attempt secondary authentication or MFA because primary has failed. And so user received for that user was received in the access reject state, in the failed state. All makes sense, right? So let's try it again. We still don't see these crazy characters that we were talking about. What causes that? So let's go back over here. So we fat fingered our password, but what if some guy instead screwed up his or her username? Let's see what happens then. Well, we still get back an access reject, as you would expect. That user doesn't actually exist. And what did we log? Well, now we can see we're logging these strange characters. But why is that? That's the question, right? So the reason for that is because of the way that NPS, this NPS service, tries to find this user. The request comes in to the NPS server in ASCII. The NPS server looks up the username as it was given. The DC says that user doesn't exist. NPS says, oh, maybe I need to try it in Unicode. So it does. It sends it back to the DC in Unicode. DC says, nope, still doesn't exist. And then, as mentioned before, we do a handoff to the MFA extension. Well, the MFA extension says, okay, but it only performs auth stuff in an access accept state. Access received for user, and all the rest of this is now Unicode. So the whole rest of that that entry that we saw is now being written to the event log in Unicode. The problem is the event log doesn't know how to handle Unicode, and so it takes the closest font that it knows and writes it. It's Wingding or it's an Asian font. I have no idea what this actually is, but what I do know is this is not the People's Republic of China trying to hack into my NPS server. It's simply the way that NPS attempts to look up a bad username when a username doesn't exist in the environment at all because somebody was in a hurry, they typed their username quickly, and they typed it wrong. So that's what causes this. Hopefully you guys or gals find some use in this. If you have any more questions, if you have questions around NPS, let me know. This has been my focus now for what seems like forever. But yeah, if you have any other questions about NPS or how you can do things inside of NPS, let me know. If I don't know, I've got other colleagues that have been working with NPS much longer than me. We can figure it out and we can make a quick video and stick it up here for y'all. So hopefully this helped. Let me know if you got questions. See ya.